to Josh Cooper live at UNF 17. Very special guest. This guy sounds like he does it all. Chris Bruno, how you feeling tonight, man?
I'm doing great, man. I just flew in from back east. I was shooting a movie back there, and I told my wife, I said, I think I actually might be able to make the fight tonight. So, yeah, I landed, jumped in an Uber, and ripped over here. So.
Hell yeah. Are you here for any particular fight, or just kind of enjoy the
No, I used to fight for these guys,
right.
for what used to be, well, actually it was Celtic Gladiator, but they co-promoted it with it.
Way back,
for my last fight. Yeah, when I was 51. I was the oldest person to ever fight pro in the state of California at 51. Had a good fight. I lost, but against a 28-year-old kid who had 5 pro fights.
Right. In the prime of his life.
In the prime of his life, and the kid was just a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker. My hips were a little slow. I ended up getting taken down, and it was just one of those things where got back up a few times. We had a good scrap.
Right.
We still text each other, check in all the time. That's the whole fighter's code that we do. Once we fight, we have mad respect for each other. So.
Of course, and that's why UNF's so great. Is it's always very, very respectful. Now, I want to talk to you about what motivates you to have a successful career. I want to get to all the things this guy does: pilot, actor, fighter. What motivates you to later on in your life become a professional fighter?
So for me, I fought amateur when I was young. I always felt that I was a professional athlete. I played baseball. I got invited to the
same here. Let's go.
No way, really?
Yeah. What position did you play?
Yeah, I was a pitcher. And I played short.
I was a left-handed pitcher. That's
really?
amazing. That's amazing,
awesome,
brother.
Man.
That's amazing. You know the game. Not many people know the game.
Not many people know the game. And I got some looks, and I got really close, but I ended up getting a soap opera. They invited me to go to training camp, and then they said if you get signed, you're gonna, you play single A ball. It's $600 a month.
Right.
I was 25 years old. I booked a
brutal.
soap opera. They were paying me 6-figure income. I was like, my decision's been made. But I played in the adult leagues till I was about 44 or 45.
I'm sure you're cooking the old guys.
Yeah. It was fun just blowing heat by those guys and a slider that they just couldn't catch up with. It was just
truly
like,
unfair, right?
Yeah, not fair. It's not fair.
So, I mean, you just added another thing on. I didn't even know you played baseball. This is incredible. So it sounds like it was just kind of an itch. You were like, I always felt like I was good enough.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, you wanted to tick it off the to-do list.
It's one of those things, and I had a really bad injury too when I was 25 years old. So it was like every year I had to take one more sport away from my life that I couldn't do. I fought amateur. But I started at 36. I had my first amateur fight. I had a couple amateur fights, and I always thought someday I'm going to go pro, but my knee was too bad. But then I changed my diet. I did this anti-inflammatory diet.
Love it.
I started training again. I was like, wow, I don't have to come home and throw a bag of ice on my knee immediately.
What were those changes?
So I started eliminating processed sugars was the big thing. Get rid of the processed sugars, eating clean. Anything you can hunt, grow in the backyard, pick, gather, whatever. Stuff that a caveman.
That's a recipe to be a pretty healthy person,
right?
And
I think a lot of people are starting to get hip to that and understand it. And it was like, that's actually how I met my wife, was in the Whole Foods parking lot, because she was on her kind of thing.
Look at you, the Whole Foods parking lot game.
Yeah, that's my game.
You got to release a course on that,
bro. Never been on a dating app in my whole life, man. So.
When you have the Whole Food game, you don't need a dating app.
That's right. So anyway, I fought amateur, and I ended up sparring with Rico Rodriguez, Mark Kerr. Rico and Mark lived at my house for their last fights as I was training for my amateur fights. I had wrestling mats in my living room. We all trained together. We had this little bed where Mark Kerr would sleep. We called it Kerr's Corner. And he would drink a bottle of barefoot wine with a dip in his mouth every night after training. I'd be
Sicko.
Like, Mark. And he's like, bro, that's cool. This is how I do it. So it was like a magical time in my life. And then, I ended up hanging it up for a while, but I had the itch. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to turn pro. They had to come watch me spar. Thor was my sparring partner, and David Roberts, who's like 8-0 as a pro now.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 sparring partners coming into my last fight.
You learned quick.
Yeah, I learned quick. But I also felt like, when I would land shit on these guys, I felt like, oh, wow, I feel like I'm a pro-level fighter. I should be able to do this. Right. But at 51, they were all like, you're crazy. But it was Mike Beltran that was like, no, I know he is. He's legit, man. I know all the guys that he trains with, and he's legit. So they came and watched me spar and everything else, got me a fight, and the rest is history.
That's so amazing. I mean, you do it all. I want to know for me, but you got to tell everyone else, where do they follow you? Because you got so much going on.
So I'm on Instagram as The Foch Life. Chris Bruno, if you look it up, it says The Foch Life. Foch means face in Italian, F-A-C-H-E. And so that's where you can find me on Instagram, Twitter. I don't really deal with X or whatever it's called anymore. But yeah, and I started flying helicopters because I wanted one more challenge in life. And
Just
said,
cause.
yeah, you know.
I've heard helicopters can be sketchy. Is that
They're
not?
sketchy.
Yeah. Okay. So they are.
They're sketchy.
A little bit of wind. It's
Yeah,
it's
a lot
little
of
bit.
wind. And flying around here in the mountains, there's clouds and everything. So it happened to Kobe. I knew his pilot, and a buddy of mine just died about a month ago flying this Nigerian banker. So it's dangerous.
Right.
But, you know, so is getting in a cage and fighting somebody. It's like sometimes you go, I like to take risks. I like to be the man in the arena. I don't wear somebody else's name on the back of the jersey. I wear my own. So.
No, sir. 100%. This guy's the man. You got to follow him, see what he has going on. It's very exciting. Give him a follow. Thank you for the time.
Thank
very
you.
much appreciate it. We're going to sign off.
We'll talk baseball soon.
Yes,
Thanks, you
we
guys.
will. That's awesome.